Nigeria's solid mineral sector is facing renewed pressure as the Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative (NIG'S) warned that illicit financial flows are driving the country of huge or depriving the country of huge revenues and weakening investor confidence. Estimates suggest that billions of naira are lost annually through illegal mining, smuggling, under invoicing and tax evasion. These leakages deny the country the resources needed for infrastructure, education, and healthcare. Now, today on the program, we look at how to stem these unlawful outflows, enhance transparency, and boost national income for sustainable development. Now, joining us virtually from Benin is Mr. David Ugolo, Executive Director, Africa Network for Environment and Economic Justice, NIG'S, if I'm not mistaken, for short. You're welcome to Business Express.
Yes, good afternoon.
Beautiful. Well, I hope I got the
Yeah,
abbreviation.
yes, yes, yes. You got it
Okay.
right. Yes,
Now,
yes.
what are the main ways these illicit financial flows happen in our solid mineral sector, and how much revenue are we actually losing every year as a result?
Again, thank you very much for inviting me into your program. You know, the issue of illicit financial flow in the solid mineral sector is a new area that our research report we commissioned, which we launched last week with NTA and the Ministry of Mining. It was very insightful. Obviously, we're faced with a lot of challenge in the country. Government is looking into opportunity to scale up the revenue in the country. And the issue of illicit financial flow is a big issue after Tambo Beki report was released a few years ago, looking into billions, over $50 billion that is leaving the continent. And when you see what is happening to Nigeria, Nigeria also lost almost about 10 to $15 billion annually as a result of illicit financial flow. We're zeroing in on the mining sector. With this research, we have seen that the enabler for this illicit financial flow are within the country, and there's no way government can stop this if all stakeholders don't come together to put an end to this um, problem in the sense that the revenue that was supposed to be used to build hospital, build infrastructure in the country is going to private pocket, and not just private pocket within the country, it's leaving the country. And that's the reason why we commissioned this research with the support from the British government. And we're very happy that this report was released and it is well received by stakeholder, and hopefully we're going to be releasing the policy brief on this report, which we're going to be using to do legislative advocacy for reform, to see how this big problem that is affecting the country, we can stop it. And perhaps that will also enable the government to begin to put a searchlight on how the mining sector is operating in the country.
So, what do you want the stakeholders to do at this point in time?
First, I want to thank the new Executive Secretary of the Nigerian Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NIG'S, and the Honorable Minister for the mining sector, which is, again, their commitment you see demonstrated last week in this launching of this new report. The first thing that we want them to do, that which they have done, is by hosting and taking ownership of this research. And we hopefully the key recommendation from this research that provides the need for government to put in place a transparent regulatory system that will enable the ministry to be able to put a searchlight and empower those who are responsible for the regulation to be able to carry out their responsibility. Then the other second aspect of what I think government can do is to strengthen the collaboration among agencies, because the question of beneficial ownership is very fundamental if you are to tackle the challenge of illicit financial flow in the illicit in the
Mineral
mining
sector.
sector. So we are hoping that government is going to scale up the resource investment in building the database that will make the Nigerian agency to be capable to be able to handle the issue of disclosure, and then making agency to collaborate, because one agency alone cannot stop the issue of illicit financial flow in the country. And so we hope that
Okay.
government agency like the AT and the corruption agencies like NFIU, EFCC, ICPC will be able to operate and cooperate to be able to end this culture of impunity.
Okay, the Mining Cadastral Office is supposed to regulate mining activities, but we still hear stories of illegal operations across the country. What exactly is going wrong? Is it a manpower issue, funding, or something else entirely?
They are all together. We have manpower challenge, we have capacity issue, we have lack of resources, and then another thing that you can't really put money to is the political will.
So
We
is this
require the
something
political.
that your research is, poised to address?
Exactly. Those are the things we hopefully that we will use the recommendation from the research to address. And we're very happy. The more encouraging aspect was seen was the participation of the National Assembly. The Senate Committee chairman in charge of mining committee in the Senate was there, and he made a commitment that he's looking forward to collaborate with us to see that all the necessary legislative actions are taken. And one key thing that we think that the government can really help to put in place is the legislative infrastructure that will empower the Nigerian government to put in place a database on beneficial ownership, because what we currently see in the country is lack of transparency and lack of access to data. And I hope that with key institutions like NFIU, EFCC, ICPC, all these institutions can collaborate if this access to this data become available to all the agency, and
Now,
then
now,
the
now,
opportunity
now,
to, yes.
now smuggling is a major problem. Minerals mined here are being taken across our borders without proper documentation or payment of royalties. What specific measures can our border security agencies implement to stop these, illegal activities?
It's also border upon how government go about ensuring that all the companies that are operating on the sector are properly registered. And apart from proper registers, know your customer is very important. Beneficial ownership information data is very important. Government need to know those who are involved in this, and then the foreigners who are also collaborating with the local community to carry out this illegal activity need to be unmasked. And that's where the mining marshal role become very useful. But government need to also begin to collaborate with local community people. By way what it comes to the local community, because the local community must see the need to see what happened in the Niger Delta, the oil and gas sector in the Niger Delta. It doesn't happen in the northern part of the country and the places where we have all this mining going on. Because once the community don't see the buy-in, what is in for them, they begin to collaborate with these foreigners to carry out this illegal mining.
Okay, now let's talk about the legal framework. Do you think our current laws, such as the Nigerian Minerals and Mining Act, are adequate to deal with modern day challenges in the sector, or do we need legislative reforms?
That's exactly what the report is saying, the research is saying. You couldn't have been using laws that were created more than 2, 3 decades ago to be operating now. So it needs a reform to deal with the challenges that are currently coming out. So one thing we want to encourage President Tinubu to undertake is to be able to provide that political support for a legislative reform to strengthen the current act, to look into opportunity to strengthen it in a way that this illegal mining that is currently going on in the country will be reduced to minimum. And then the only best way to do that is to collaborate with the National Assembly. The National Assembly has the responsibility to put in place laws that can tackle this challenge. And I'm happy that the National Assembly has and indicated by the Senate
Okay.
committee chairman will do the needful.
Now, drawing from recent initiatives such as the implementation of the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, how effective have these been in promoting accountability, and what gaps still need to be addressed?
Yes, I, I remember about 10, 15 years ago, or 20 years ago precisely, we can't easily point data on the oil and revenue agency. But domesticating the NTA standard, which you just referred to, the strategy initiative, which Nigeria now have a act that domesticate it in the country, which the Nigerian extract Nigerian Industry Press Initiative Act, we can now point to on the oil and gas revenue. Precisely, if you go to the NTA website, you can now at least lay your hands on data on the revenue that is flowing to the Niger Delta states. You can easily say what is that amount of resources that has flowed to Bayelsa in the last 2 years, what amount of resources that have flowed to Edo, Delta, Rivers, and with that kind of amount of information in the hands of citizens, you cannot begin to ask questions around transparency and accountability. The real challenge is that Nigerians hardly lay their hands on this data, and this is the real big challenge. And that's
Okay.
why organizations like ours are trying to build awareness, create public awareness about
Okay,
how
okay,
citizens can begin
just
to
briefly
use
before I
this.
let you go, just briefly before I
Yes,
let you go, I want you to
yes.
tell us, do you think that this particular research demands, I mean, ex in fact, demands accelerated action to see that this issue of illicit financial, is it financial or, yeah, financial flows is somehow addressed?
No better way to say it than what you have said. We really need it yesterday. And that's why this research, again, we want to thank the UK government for providing the resources to undertake this research. And thank NAT Executive Secretary for his political support for this research. And so we
Okay,
appeal to the President to
okay.
also appeal to the leadership of the National Assembly to see this research report as a call to action. And we all
Thank
have
you very much.
responsibility to end this culture in
Thank,
Nigeria.
thank you very much, Mr. David Ugolo, Executive Director, African Network for Environment and Economic Justice. It's been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much.